What's going on, guys? I'm joined by Ryan Harris. Ryan is a Super Bowl champion, speaker, author, and sportscaster for Altitude Sports Radio in Colorado. And this is his first time winning the award. So, congratulations, Ryan, and thank you for taking the time and joining us.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
So, Ryan, the first question before I jump into the sports media question, since you have played in the Super Bowl and you've won that game, what are your thoughts on this year's Super Bowl?
Well, anytime you got a legend like Tom Brady who's going in for their seventh Super Bowl, it's just an amazing sight. And it was amazing to see my former teammate Shaq Barrett
Right.
win another championship. So I'm just happy for Tom Brady. I think 7 championships will something we'll never see again.
Right.
So hard to do, and what a victory for Tom Brady to get out there and win one without Belichick in the first year. I mean, that's going to be talked about for a long time as well.
Right. Yeah. That's an incredible feat just for it, just in sport, not just for football, but just in American sports and in general, because you know how hard it is to just get to one and win that. And hopefully Shaq Barrett gets paid now big time heading into
Oh,
this
he will.
offseason.
He
Yeah,
will.
he
He
will. He
will.
and he deserves it. So Ryan, what was your career path like post football on your way to being in the sports media industry?
Well, I wanted to learn as much as I could. So, towards my last 2 years in the NFL, I knew I wanted to get into sports broadcasting. So, I did as many interviews as I could. Went on location, something that's tough for radio stations to get players to do. But I would show up just to kind of learn the lay of the land, see how the greats are doing it. And then I was lucky enough to learn from Howard Deneroff and Mike Bonner and Jerry Madelon, and just learn about what it takes to be great in broadcasting, the little details. And I just learned as much as I could, asked as many questions as I could, and intruded as much as I could in their peaceful days to make sure I could deliver the best possible broadcast for the audience.
That's awesome. So did you always know that, well, while you were playing, that you wanted to be in stay in sports, stay within the media realm?
I didn't until the end, and it started kind of like, well, what can I do while still wearing my sweatpants? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that's how I kind of entered into retirement. But one of the things I learned from talking to my fellow teammates, as well as teammates who I never got the chance to play with in the pros, but maybe did in college, is that I've got I got a doctorate in applied football mechanics and theory. So to be able to humanize and educate people about the game they love, show them some nuances, tell the stories about the people behind the face
Right.
mask, and also talk about other sports that I love. Because growing up playing football, you watch other sports, and that's your way to relax. So I get to
Right.
talk about all of them and the mindsets and mentalities that make champions.
Now, as a former player and a former champion who did it at the highest level, do you find like your experience as a player benefiting you a lot in this role now?
Yeah, and I have to do a good job of explaining it, right? Because, for example, the difference between winning and winning a championship might not seem like a difference to many people, but it very much is. How are you as a teammate over your talent? A lot of people think the most talented team wins. That's absolutely wrong. And why? So, why is that wrong? What are examples I can point to in history or recently that show that it's wrong? How can I relate it to people in their own workspace? Hey, it doesn't matter if you're in sports or not. When this happens to us as human beings, we don't like it. So
Right.
those are the things that I'm able to kind of be a cultural attaché, if you will, and bring people into the world of sports and also back out.
Awesome. So, Ryan, now in your role now, what would you consider to be your favorite part of your job?
I mean, the Notre Dame games are great just because I love going to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But my favorite part of my job is being able to enter into a situation where you can't make mistakes on live radio. And,
Right.
and if you do, you got to correct them. And I love that environment. I love my challenging myself to be the best. Whether it's let's say if it's Nolan Arenado, the storied third baseman who got traded from the Rockies to the Cardinals.
Cardinals.
The emotional response is the easy response. What really matters? What does this mean for other players on the roster? What's it like to be in that locker room? and that's the fun I have.
Awesome. Yeah. And just being able to like you said, because you went to Notre Dame as well, and you're an alum there too. So that experience must be awesome as well. Um, Now, what would you consider to be tangible or intangible in your in this on the sports media side of your career to be the biggest highlight?
Calling the Notre Dame Clemson game and getting to scream, "The fans are the fans stormed the field." You just,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, as a broadcaster, you never think you're going to be in that moment, and especially this last year with COVID, everything happening. It just, it was remarkable to be at that game, to call it, and to be in that moment. So, that's a tangible moment. I had a great post game interview after we won the Super Bowl. That was fun. And
Yeah.
then, we went to the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago, and I interviewed, one of the greats in the NFL quarterbacks, and Joe Namath. I
Yeah.
said, "Hey, Joe, as much as you've been successful on the field, can you tell some stories about off the field?" And he said, "Well, some stories are better not told, but I'll tell you this: I'm happy I'm alive." So I just thought, like, what a cool
Yeah.
moment. And so I've been very fortunate to put myself in places to get some great interviews, and also, be a part of some great events.
Yeah, that all sounds incredibly exciting. So, Ryan, what is the best piece of advice you can give someone who is pursuing a career in sports media?
Wow. Learn how to tell stories. Learn how to be a storyteller. That's the biggest thing, Also, encourage, differentiate different opinions. And though I'm still young in this business, so it's tough to give advice, but I would say that, and go for it. The
Right.
biggest thing that happens is, people, you get nervous or you get rejected, you shut down. I don't care if you say no to me. I'm going to ask you for an interview 17 more times. Doesn't matter.
Right.
So, but I'd say learn how to be a great storyteller, and do the details on what it take. What do our ears like listening to? The human brain loves mystery. Can you create those things in your broadcast? Can you create that in your interviews? What and how questions get people to be logical, especially after an emotional win or loss. That can be a good tool to use. So, just become a great storyteller, and get out of the way. It's about your audience.
Right. So those are all the questions I have for you, Ryan. And one personal question before we head off here. Who was the hardest person you ever had to block in the NFL?
Man, that's a tough one. I had the fortunate and unfortunate occurrence to be Von Miller's teammate and not be his
Right.
teammate. Von Miller was tough. One of the toughest. Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware, when I was playing against them, those are tough guys to have 60 minutes against.
Right.
So
I can't
I was so
imagine.
happy to be their teammates on Super Bowl 50, and I felt bad for those tackles. Not bad, not too bad,
Not too
but I
bad,
felt
right?
bad for the tackles on the other side.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again, Ryan, for joining us, and congratulations. If you want to shout anyone out before we head off here, or leave us with any closing remarks, you could go ahead and do that now.
Yeah, man, I'd just like to thank Cronky Sports Entertainment, Notre Dame, Westwood One, Jerry Madeline, and many others who have contributed to myself, my success, Mike Bonner as well. Just grateful to have had the opportunities, and I'll keep knocking it down.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you.